Back here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060, Chris Schubert with you. Big story of the day, the Suns have got their guy. According to Shams Charania, the Phoenix Suns are hiring Cleveland Cavaliers assistant Jordan Ott as the next head coach that will lead this team into its next chapter, a chapter that is all about
the alignment.
And we opened the show sharing our opinion, our thoughts on the hiring of Jordan Ott, and we said that from a qualifications perspective, Jordan Ott fits the bill. He checks all of the boxes of what we wanted to see the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns have on the resume. That he was a guy who could communicate, that he was an assistant coach, was looking for his first chance to be a head coach, was young, had a defensive mind a little bit. And in the case of Ott, he is supposedly very good at both offensive and defensive game planning. But the cloud that hovers over all of this is the Michigan State connection. I want to offer up a piece of information, and I want to offer it up in the hopes that perhaps it can change your opinion, because it did make me stop and think for just a second when I heard it as well. Quote tweeting his own tweet about the Suns hiring Cleveland Cavaliers assistant Jordan Ott, Shams Charania offered up the following. Suns franchise cornerstone Devin Booker was involved in the search process during the final stages and stamped Ott as his top choice as well, sources said. Ott has been on NBA coaching staffs with the Hawks, Nets, Lakers, and Cavs since 2012. Should that change our opinion? Should Devin Booker putting his own seal of approval on this, him offering up, hey, between these two guys, between Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Now, Shams says final stages. So was he brought into the loop when they were down to 6? Or was he only brought into the loop when they were down to 2? Either way, at some point, Devin Booker put his seal of approval. He gave his stamp that said, yes, Jordan Ott is the guy that I want as the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns. So should that change our minds? Devin Booker does not have the connections to Michigan State that Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia have. There is no cloud that hovers over Devin Booker if he said that Jordan Ott was the best candidate, that he wanted Jordan Ott to be the next head coach, that he thought Ott would be a good fit, that he and Ott would get along, and that this is the right guy to lead the next chapter. There is no nepotism. There is no bad optic of Devin Booker signing off on this. So should it allow us to maybe take a step back, reset here, and say, maybe the Michigan State thing isn't that big of a deal. Maybe it isn't the be-all, end-all. Maybe we shouldn't focus too much on it because Devin Booker also was a part of this process, and he doesn't have any of those ties. He doesn't have any of those connections. He doesn't have any of that conflict of interest that the other two guys share, and he signed off on this. He picked Ott as, to quote Shams, his top choice. That should matter in all of this. Now, I can't overlook the Michigan State ties. I can't completely put it to the side. But I can at least take this information that Devin Booker signed off on this and say, okay, Jordan Ott deserves a clean slate. He deserves a chance to be the right guy for this job. He deserves an opportunity to prove that he's the right guy to be the next Suns head coach. He's earned that opportunity with his resume. Devin Booker signed off on it. Okay, let's go. Let's see what you got. Let's build a roster now. Let's try to put together a team that can compete sooner rather than later. This is a heavy lift. Jordan Ott's going to have to do a lot of that player development that's a part of his background. But okay, let's go. But the Michigan State thing is still going to be a cloud that hovers over all of this because of Ishbia, because of Gregory, because of all the other qualified candidates that were in there. But I did pause today. I did stop today when we were show prepping and figuring out how we wanted to go about talking about this. When I saw the news that Devin Booker was invited into this process, was a part of the final stages, and he also stamped, to quote Shams Charania, stamped Ott as his top choice as well. I would like to know how that conversation went. I would like to know if it was, hey, Devin, this is who we're hiring, your thoughts? And he was like, yeah, that's fine with me. Shams saying it was his top choice makes me think that Devin Booker didn't necessarily stick his neck out, but he was open, honest, shared his opinion, and he said, this is the guy that I want.
It also makes you think that he was involved slightly enough with some of the other candidates, right? His top choice means that he had some kind of list, right? It means he had other choices.
Yeah.
If it's that's the number one of all of them.
Yeah. That there were other coaching candidates that he considered. And for those out there who are upset at the idea that Devin Booker was involved in this process and that Devin Booker isn't the GM of the team, he's not the owner of the team, he shouldn't have a say. It's not how it goes anymore.
That's the NBA.
No, that's sports.
Yeah.
You make a managerial change in baseball, you're going to talk to your star player. The Yankees want to make a change with Aaron Boone.
Judge gets say.
Aaron Judge is consulted on, hey, you have a great pulse of the locker room, the clubhouse. How is this going to be received? Is this the right thing? Are we missing the mark here? You invite your star players. You invite your franchise cornerstones. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't think Devin Booker is a franchise cornerstone. I disagree with you. I think Devin Booker is a franchise cornerstone. He is certainly being treated as a franchise cornerstone. He's going to get an extension this summer that makes him a franchise cornerstone, pays him to the tune of $75 million a season. If that's the type of money you're going to dole out for one player, you betcha that guy gets a seat at the table. That guy's opinion matters in all of this because that guy you've invested in. And you've invested in him because you think that he's the guy that's going to bring the first championship to this city. You don't think that you want that guy to get along with who the head coach is, that guy has to have, let's use a word,
the alignment
with the head coach to be able to win that championship. You may not like it. You may want to go back to the days where the owner hires the GM hires the coach. Those two work together to put together the roster, and there's that separation between the players and the front office. That is not the way sports work anymore in 2025. Doesn't work that way. Your big, important franchise cornerstones get a seat at the table. Devin Booker got a seat at the table, and he said, I want Jordan Ott. That should mean something to all of us. We should listen to it. That's not to say we can't talk about the Michigan State cloud, that we can't talk about how we wanted Chris Quinn or we wanted Dave Bliss, that we thought that there were better, more qualified candidates. But it should mean something that the franchise star of this team was involved in this process, and this is also the conclusion that he came to. It at least allows me to live in a world, I don't know how real it is, but it allows me to live in a world where Jordan Ott actually was the best candidate, that he actually earned this job. Not to say his resume didn't earn it. His resume did earn it. But there are people out there today that are going to say that the fix was in on this, that this team knew what they wanted to do from the get-go. And they may be right. I cannot prove them wrong. But Devin Booker also coming to this same conclusion at least throws a little bit of cold water on that. It at least opens the door for me to be able to say Jordan Ott might have been the most qualified candidate. He might have been the guy that impressed the Suns the most. And the Michigan State thing was a nice little cherry on top, but it wasn't the deciding factor. And that's a world I'd like to live in. I can live in a world where the Michigan State thing is a cherry on top. The world I don't want to live in is where the Michigan State thing is front and center. And there's a lot of it being front and center. But Devin Booker being involved in this process, Devin Booker stamping Jordan Ott with his own seal of approval, I paused this morning because when Jordan Ott got hired, I said, yep, here we go again. More Michigan State ties. Of course, this is what they did. People are going to say that the fix was in, that they had a predetermined outcome from the get-go, and there is nothing that I can do to combat that. If you feel that way today, I don't blame you for feeling that way. I get it. I see why you feel that way. I don't think you're crazy for feeling that way. The dots are too easy to connect there. All of it makes sense. But I paused a little bit when I saw that tweet from Shams about Devin Booker. because it at least made me rethink my position just a little bit. Do I worry about Jordan Ott's Michigan State connections being used against him? Absolutely. Do I worry about the first time things go south for this team? We're all going to run to talk about how you hired people because they were from Michigan State and you didn't hire the most qualified people for the job, even though in this instance, you have a qualified candidate in Jordan Ott. Yes, I worry about all of those things. But I worry a little bit less, a little bit, just a smidge, because Devin Booker also came to this conclusion. He doesn't have the bias that Ishbia and Gregory may have. He is removed from it. Let's face it, you may think that players are bad GMs and players are bad judges of coaches. And I think there's plenty of examples to prove that you may be right if you think that. Devin Booker wants to win. Devin Booker wants to win here. Devin Booker wants to be the centerpiece of bringing the first NBA championship to this city. Do you think he's going to give the seal of approval and pick a head coach just because of the Michigan State ties? Do you think that's really what Devin Booker is thinking about? Or is Book thinking about who is going to get me the closest to winning that championship? Just a different perspective to think about this. While you're hot about Ott being the selection, about another Michigan State guy with those Michigan State ties being the ultimate choice here, just like it was with Brian Gregory, just an alternative viewpoint to think about today. Because Devin Booker doesn't have those connections. Devin Booker doesn't have that conflict of interest. And he also, according to reports, came to that conclusion. John over on our YouTube says, will he be a yes man to Booker? I don't think so. I don't think Jordan Ott is just going to be a yes man and placate to the franchise cornerstone. Is he going to work alongside Book? Yeah, and that's a good thing because I don't think there's been a lot of that here. How did Coach Bud get along with Devin Booker? We remember talking about him calling Book into his office and saying, hey, dude, tone it down. Your voice, I don't want it. Got to let the coaches coach. And we said at the time, that's bad. That is a bad thing to say to your franchise player. So if Jordan Ott goes a little bit in the other direction and involves Book a little more and allows his voice to be heard, you know what? I'm okay with that.